Governor Walz and Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan have been making the rounds, sharing small parts of the 2023 state budget. Yesterday, the pair shared their health and safety priorities while visiting the Roseville Fire Department. Today, the governor unveiled the entire legislative budget plan at the state capitol. Let's take you there now and hear what he had to say.
Many of you heard me over the last 4 years talk about a budget is a fiscal document. It is also a moral document. It is a reflection of our collective values. And in this budget, what you've seen is we value our people. We value our children. We value our environment. We value our opportunity to be innovative. And we value fairness in the things that we do. And so over the last week, which I said has kind of felt like a little bit of waiting for the next season of Stranger Things. We've been rolling out little pieces of this. Today is the day to bring this all together. It's, as I described earlier, it's meant to have the pieces tie together. It's meant to make life more affordable and investments that let Minnesota thrive. It's building on the things that have set this state apart from others for all of our history. And it's building towards a future with lessons learned both during the pandemic and some of the realignments economically that we're seeing globally. This is a balanced budget, but it's far more than that. It is a transformational budget. You've heard us talk about the biggest investments in state history in education. You've seen us talk about things like making childcare affordable, which helps our competitiveness. You heard us talk about expanding access to health care and the largest investment in housing. And now today you're going to hear us talk about the largest tax cut in state's history to the greatest number of Minnesotans across the spectrum. We've been targeted in how we do things. Minnesota has always been progressive in its taxation with an expectation that people pay their fair share and those that have more pay their fair share too. And all of us benefit from that. And I've made no mistake about it that people can make good decisions for themselves, and a portion of this surplus needs to get back into their hands. Whether that's a single taxpayer of $1,000 or a family with 3 children, $2,600. Been crafted so you don't pay the federal tax on these things, and that's money that will make a difference. And that's the things that can, and the Lieutenant Governor talks about this often, that might be the difference between housing for you, because it could be first and last month rent. It could be the things you need to do for your children. It could be a vacation if that's where you're at and your family needs that. But there are decisions that Minnesotans can make with that. And it lets us make responsible choices, like paying off the stadium 22 years in advance. Those are the types of things that make sense to Minnesota at a time when we have a budget surplus, when it's a time to invest, when it's time to keep our reserves at the highest they've ever been, and at the same time reducing tax burdens on working Minnesotans. I'm excited about this budget. I'm proud of Minnesotans. Again, I think it builds on a long tradition of progressive taxation and investments in things that matter, and it lets us tackle some of the harder things and some of the things that have been put off.
This budget shows our values loud and clear. We care about making Minnesota the best state in the country for our kids. We care about the economic and climate future of our state. We care about the health and safety of every person in Minnesota. And all of these proposals and investments work in coordination to deeply and measurably improve lives. That is the power of state government at its best. Our direct checks proposal sends a one-time payment of up to $2,600 directly to Minnesota households. I'm so proud of the wraparound investments we propose to lower costs for Minnesota families, and there is power in direct cash assistance. Direct checks empower families to decide what they need most to make ends meet. Getting ahead on rent, fixing a car, paying off a credit card, making sure your kiddos have new shoes that fit, it matters. And for folks who say it doesn't, you are telling me that you have never struggled to figure out how you're going to make $20 last for the rest of the week. You've never struggled to figure out how you're going to make first and last month's rent, to get out of shelter into more housing stability. So this matters, and we shouldn't simply brush it aside. People are poor or people struggle because they don't have money. This full package, along with direct checks and cash assistance, will make a real difference for Minnesota families. And finally, it is past time to safely legalize adult cannabis use. Prohibition doesn't work. Legalizing adult use cannabis is about our economic future. It's about expanding our economy and creating jobs across the state. It's about health, allowing us to regulate the industry and to ensure that products are safe and educating the public about the facts of cannabis use. It's about public safety, allowing law enforcement to focus on violent crime and expunging the records of people who are convicted of non-violent offenses involving cannabis to give them a second chance.
Last Tuesday, we started. The governor and lieutenant governor released their package to make Minnesota the best state for kids. There were a number of elements in there. Just a quick reminder of some of the things that were in there, including $1.1 billion per biennium to create a child tax credit that would provide families making up to $50,000 with a credit for $1,000 per child up to 3 kids. This credit alone is estimated to reduce child poverty by 25%. Normally in a biennial budget, that would be the entirety. It is a spectacular proposal, but is only part of the release that day. That includes $500 million per biennium. Is a significant increase in the child independent care credit. Other investments include funding for schools, a 4% and a 2% increase for the formula funding, along with a reduction of the special ed cross subsidy by 25%, 50%. Excuse me. A significant expansion of early learning, both pre-K and early learning scholarships, and proposals to help address student mental health and student support personnel. There's significant investments in academic supports to help our students achieve as well. And finally, childcare. As we all know, this is a critical industry for not only the families that use it, but as the last several years have shown, it's important for the functioning of society as a whole. We have proposals to increase child care assistance program funding and increase the rates, totaling $148 million in the first biennium, $260 million in the tails, funds to reduce waiting lists for the state's basic sliding fee program, and more.
Keep watching CBS News Minnesota for continuing coverage.